confiscate the money. That girl is a real proud small world, all her friends know me.
So Merry Christmas everybody, as we're back with a brand new episode of the Reindeer MyLEAGUE in 2K17. The last episode, it's the third season of the Reindeer MyLEAGUE, and we actually won the NBA Championship once again, as I believe it was our 4th or 5th time as NBA champions. So in the offseason though we didn't, it actually won the draft lottery too, so we got the first overall pick, and that was ending up being Chad Strong. So Chad Strong in the lineup here as our starting point guard, as they didn't end up having to trade our point guard last season just based on salary, and we need to absolutely sign, I believe it was one of our backup players, I think it was Jeffrey Rivers we had to re-sign. But Strong this season though, he looks very strong, no pun intended, at point guard. He looks very good to start off the season for our last season, the 12 Days of MyLEAGUE. So 12 Days of MyLEAGUE, you guys seem to like it though, so I mean, it was a fun experience doing this, but now we're going to go start off this next season. One thing this season, though, is Mac Winter. He's in the starting lineup just based on that. Our power forward, our man, Sharif O'Neal's out for like 2 to 3 months, or 2 to 4 months, sorry, a torn left ACL. So Sharif O'Neal, he's out for the start of the season here, as we're second in power rankings and all that kind of stuff. But first off, we're going to go and re-sign DeAndre Ayton as kind of like a legacy thing. He's our greatest player in franchise history. Obviously, he's a 3-time MVP. I believe he's an 8-time DPOY winner, Defensive Player of the Year, so incredible career with the Reindeer, obviously a Hall of Fame guaranteed, like he's a guaranteed Hall of Famer basically, that's what I'm saying. But right now we're going to start the season 22-1 on the season, very good start to the season as usual, as right now we're 28-1, now 30-1, so this season trying to go and break the NBA record here for wins obviously, as I think we did break that a few episodes ago. I believe we had only 6 losses in a season, and that was a record, so trying to beat that. We're 41-3 in the season, so we only need to lose, I guess, 2 more games left in the season, which is pretty hard to do, as you're going to lose another one now. We're 48-5, and there's almost no shots of us basically making that record here, as we're going to go into the All-Star break here, look at some All-Stars. You have Floyd O'Neal, you have Karl-Anthony Towns, Cat, and into the West, though, we do have Dennis Smith and DeAndre Ayton, plus Josh Jackson. So our 2 main guys, our 2 best players in franchise history, are All-Stars this season, so kind of cool to see that, as Nikola Jokic, our former center on there, is an All-Star too, so it's pretty fitting to see all those guys being All-Stars this season. Plus, our draft pick last year, John Scott, he's in the slam dunk contest, and it's pretty cool to see that just based on John Scott, a superstar in the NHL, now starting to become a superstar here in the NBA in I believe 2027. But your leads, you have Chad Strong, John Scott, and you have Mac Winter, so we have a lot of leads on that team, as MVP right now is Wendell Haynes and DeAndre Ayton in 2nd place, Chad Strong 5th in Rookie of the Year, 6th man Jeffrey Rivers is 2nd here, as DeAndre Ayton 1st in DPOY, Josh Jackson 4th, so looking very good there when it comes to awards. Hopefully you snag a few here in the last year, as your elites team obviously played very well. Chad Strong 17 points, Mac Winter 13, John Scott had a great game there, but John Scott goes and wins the slam dunk contest here in the last year, so pretty cool to see that here, as we're going into the last All-Star game here, and DeAndre 10 points in that one, Josh Jackson 10 points in that one too, so great All-Star game there. As we start off this last half of the season, you're trying to go and break the record here. We can, obviously, we're 16-6, so we cannot break the record, but I mean, at least we could probably tie it though. If we're sitting right now, we're 67-6, now 69-7, so we cannot break that one. Now 71-9. The reward season, Wendell Haynes as MVP this season, 27.8 points per game. He beats a DeAndre Ayton, so DeAndre cannot get his 4th MVP of his career. As Peter Potter wins Rookie of the Year over John Scott and Chad Strong, and DeAndre Ayton is your DPOY winner for the 9th time in his career, and the 9th time in a row right now. So David Fizdale, he's Coach of the Year too, as we have a few awards on that one there. Obviously DeAndre Ayton impressing in that one, but All-NBA first team, no Reindeer in that one. 2nd team, you have Josh Jackson and DeAndre Ayton, so we finally have DeAndre Ayton on the 2nd team here. As All-NBA 3rd team, we have nobody there except Nikola Jokic for a Reindeer member there. All defensive first team, we finally have Josh Jackson and DeAndre Ayton on the All-NBA all defensive first team here once again. As the 2nd team, nobody there, but all rookie first team, we have Chad Strong on there too. It's pretty cool to see that. So I guess we had a few award winners at the end of the season here, is going into the playoffs here, trying to go and win it all once again. It's just our regular season stats for the season, 20.2 points per game when it comes to DeAndre Ayton. So great overall season is last season, or at least this last season of the 12 Days of MyLEAGUE. But DeAndre Ayton obviously impressed this season. I believe he's our points leader too. Actually, no, it was Kenny Knight, that's what it was. But a few years back though, I remember DeAndre Ayton always leading us in points, rebounds, practically everything. So DeAndre Ayton, obviously our best player in franchise history. It sucks we can't really see him retire as a member of the Reindeer, but when it comes to leaders though, we do have the season. We're not even in the top 10 though, it's just pretty surprising I guess, but top 17, we do have Shane Wheeler in there in 17th there for the Cavs, and the rest though, we do finally have Kenny Knight 28th, in, I guess, points per game for the NBA, but third is rebounds for DeAndre Ayton. So at least Ayton's third in that one. As our stats this season, though, we're top in points per game, and we're third best in defense. So I love the defensive stats. Defensive player, basically defense wins championships, is what I'm saying. But Pelicans, we're going to face them in the first round or quarterfinals matchup. As the Pelicans, they do not have a good team compared to us. We have Josh Jackson out day to day, but I mean, we take game one, you're to go one after in the series. As Ayton puts up 36 and 14 for a double-double, there is. O'Neal comes back here in playoffs, 22 points in that one. As Hazonia, 20 points for the Pelicans. But game two, we take game two to go 2-0 here in this series, as Rivers puts up 20 points in that one. Kenny Knight, 19 points in that one. DeAndre Ayton, 16 and 17. As we had a great game, obviously. Hazonia, 19 points there, but not enough to beat the Reindeer in game two. Game three, we take game three, our first game in New Orleans, to go 3-0 in this series. Mentor puts up 26 points, Rivers puts up 25, and O'Neal puts up 23, and Ayton puts up 22 and 21 in that one. So great game out of him. But game four, trying to go and sweep the Pelicans. We do easily, 147-102 final, beaten by 45 points in that game. As Neal puts up 26 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists in that one, and Strong puts up 25 in that game. So Strong, he's kind of in the back right now. I believe he'd had a decent regular season, but I want to see a bigger showing out of him in these playoffs. As our next opponent, though, in the playoffs is the Miami Heat in the semifinals of the Heat. We faced them a number of times, though, in these over this past few seasons. The biggest matchup, obviously, at power forward there. We have O'Neal versus Giles. But our starting lineup for this season, though, or at least this playoff matchup, is Chad Strong at point guard still. As our team, though, we beat them in game one to go 1-0 in this series, 133-107 final. As Giles puts up 24 and 18 there for a double-double there, as they do not win game one. We take game two to go 2-0 here, as Ayton puts up 31 and 17, and Knight puts up 18, 9, and 11. So almost triple-double there for Kenny Knight, but Giles puts up 26 and 10 in a loss. But game three, we take game three, so we've won, I believe, 7 games in a row now in the playoffs, as Knight puts up 28 points in that one, Rivers 27, and O'Neal 16 and 12. So our players play consistently well every single night. That's why we win all the time. But game four, try to go and sweep the Heat, and we do 129-109 final, as you go and sweep back-to-back opponents here in the Pelicans and the Heat. So we're having a great overall playoff so far. Back-to-back sweeps, trying to go and, I guess, win the entire playoffs by not losing once. But our WCF matchup is the San Antonio Spurs. So the Spurs, they do not really have that good of a team, I guess. They have a few 80 overall plus players, but other than that, they have no superstar on this team, no clear-cut leader, I guess. That's probably why they're going to end up losing to us. But game one, we take game one to go 1-0, 120-94 final. See, destroy him in that game. But Chad Strong, 25, 10, and 8. Almost a triple-double there. Chad Strong, the rookie. But game two, we take game two to go 2-0 here in this series, 146-116 final. Ayton puts up 29 and 12. Strong, 25 and 10 there. So, I mean, Chad Strong playing very well so far against the Spurs so far. But game three, we take game three to go 3-0 here. Richard puts up 22 points in that one for the Spurs. But Chad Strong, 20 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and 11 for 24 shooting, 2 for 5, a 3-point line. So Chad Strong playing very well so far against the Spurs. As game four, they take game four to go to make it a 3-1 series lead, as we lose our first game in the playoffs. So 131-120 loss. I don't know how we lost that game, to be honest with you. I don't know why we did lose that game. Richards with 33 points in that one, Monk 33, and Harmon 20, 0 and 10. So they win that game just based on will and determination. But game 5, trying to go win it all here to go on the NBA Finals. We do 129-118 finals. We move on to the finals once again. So Ayton 21 and 12 in that one. A great game out of DeAndre Ayton. But I mean, we move on to the finals once again here, as I don't know how many years in a row we've won it, but I believe we're 5 and 7 so far in the finals appearances. So we're pretty good when it comes to making the finals and winning it all. But we're facing off against our dear rival, those 76ers. Those Sixers, they are one of our biggest rivals. I believe we faced them like 3 or 4 times in the finals so far. But Markelle Fultz, still a point guard. They still have Ben Simmons on this franchise mode. So, I mean, great matchup between Ben Simmons and Josh Jackson. But no injured players at both sides, too. So it's an even matchup here in the finals. All of our players are back. I love to see these even matchups here, as right now our team is pretty stacked. The 8th spot, we do have an 81 overall. Just pretty cool to see that. Game 1 in the North Pole. We take this one 137-115 final. Here we take game 1 here in the finals. And I guess everyone played very well in that finals first game here, as Doncic 41 points, and now Markelle Fultz 22, 3 and 13. And I guess Suric got injured too, so that's pretty bad for the 76ers here. But game 2, in still in the North Pole, we take this one 138-109 final, as Ayton puts a 20 and 16, Knight 33 points in that one. So the core players playing very well, not our bench players so far. But Markelle Fultz 24 and 12 in that one, and Doncic 34 in that one. Game 3, first game in Philly, we take it this game, 145-132 final. We're up 3-0 in the finals, as Sharif puts up 26 points in that one, 22 and 12 out of DeAndre Ayton. Great game out of our core players there, as Doncic 29 points in that one, and Ben Simmons a triple-double there, 16, 14, and 14. So now heading to the second game in Philly, we're up 3-0 in the finals. Let's go and take it all in our last season in this MyLEAGUE.
Jackson kicks tonight. No good on the triple. And they've done it, the new NBA champions.
Well, they did it. And as they celebrate, you can just see the relief, the exhilaration that comes with winning it all.
And Clark, you have to hand it to the entire organization. They work together to get right here.
And guys, what a reward for the fan base. I mean, I know one thing, they're going to enjoy this memory for a long, long time.
And we have enjoyed our time with you folks all season long. This is Kevin Harlan saying so long. Have a wonderful summer.
Stick it all here in Philly to make it 6 NBA championships here in our franchise mode, as we've won the NBA championship once again. So Ayton is your finals MVP here, 21.7 points per game, 11.5 rebounds, obvious finals MVP here. As our playoffs, who won swept the first two teams in the Pelicans and the Heat, lost one against the Spurs, and swept the 76ers. So only one loss here in these NBA playoffs, as here's our stats for the playoffs. Obviously, DeAndre Ayton had a great overall playoffs in their last season of the franchise mode. So Ayton, I guess he's one of the greatest players, might even be one of the greatest players of all time, I guess, at this point. Just based on how many DPOYs, MVPs he's had, and just overall his leadership and all. But as we're going to take a look at a reflection, I guess, at the players that we had on this franchise mode, obviously, we have DeAndre Ayton, 3-time MVP, 9-time DPOY winner, one of the greatest players, defensive players of all time here, as he records over 14,000 points, 11,000 rebounds. Just a great overall career so far for DeAndre, and he's only 29 years old too, so he's got many more years to go and break records here in the NBA. But Josh Jackson, another great member, notable member of the Reindeer, over 13,000 points scored for us. Jackson, 6-time champ, 4-time All-Star, so he's been through every single championship with the Reindeer organization, so he's been through it all. As next up is Kenny Knight, though. Kenny Knight, we drafted him for the intention to go and play the bench, but Kenny Knight, he went very well, and now he's 90 overall, 25 years old. Next up is Shareef O'Neal's son of Shaq Diesel. Obviously, 88 overall, he's took a hit just based on his last injury this season, but Shareef really didn't play that bad. He had over 6,000 points in his career. Great overall career for him. Next up is Malachi Richardson, 77 overall. He played through his entire career so far with the Reindeer. He's played through every single season of the Reindeer organization too. So loyal member, almost like Joe Thomas, but he's been through a lot more championships than Joe Thomas and a lot more W's. Whereas Malachi Richardson, though, great overall player, and he's a pretty decent role player on the bench, though. 6-time champ, 1-time second-team All-Rookie. Is next up is records for the franchise, so total points, you have DeAndre with 55. Field goals made, you have DeAndre 23. Kenny Knight in 3-pointers made, so 10 3-pointers made. DeAndre 20 free throws made in a game. Rebounds with DeAndre 29. Steph Curry there in assists with 19. Nikola Jokic there in blocks with 8 blocks in a game. Steals, you have Josh Jackson. DeAndre Ayton there in minutes, 49. And turnovers, we have a former point guard, Maxwell. But next up is playoff records. We have Kenny Knight, 46 points in the a single playoff game. Great game there. 3-pointers made, you have Kemba Walker there with 8. Free throws made, you have Chad Strong this season with 16. Rebounds, you have DeAndre Ayton. Kemba Walker there in assists with 15. Blocks, you have DeAndre Ayton once again. Steals, DeAndre Ayton. Minutes, DeAndre Ayton. Turnovers, you have Jordan Clarkson, and that's about it. So that's all of the records, I guess, for the Reindeer, as there's basically what our franchise overview is. 10 division titles, 10 playoff appearances, 8 conference championships, 6 NBA champions. So 6 of the 10 times we made the playoffs, we won the championships at 60%. So anyway, guess let's zip off here. This was the last episode of the Reindeer MyLEAGUE, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you in a later episode.